Bonjour.
How's it going? All right.
Comment t'appelles-tu?
Je m'appelle David.
That was taking you right back to high school there, wasn't it?
High school, aye, definitely. That was a long time ago.
0% of its revenue from harmful, can't say that. It would need to go full time and it would mean extra money and all that kind of thing. So, I'll strip that out because it's a load of shite.
And the stadium erupts in red, white and blue. You've never seen anything like it.
Let's go.
Manchester, brace yourself. Rangers are coming!
Hi everyone, welcome to the next episode of the I Ready podcast. As ever, I'm your host Derek, and with me is my co-host Dave. How you doing, Dave?
Your Ho-Coast.
My Ho-Coast? My old coast, I don't know.
Exactly. Old coast, I feel like. No, Derek, I'm here, and it's been a long time since we've recorded. We keep saying this, there's been a lot of stuff happening in personal lives and things like that couldn't be avoided, but we are back. We said that we were going to come back and do one final podcast of the season. The season seems to have been finished a decade ago now by the time we're putting this out, but no, I'm happy to be here, Derek, and ready to talk all things Rangers.
Yes, it has been a while. I think it was the 3rd of May the last time our main podcast came out. So right. It's been a while. And when Dave said things happening in our personal lives, it doesn't actually mean Dave being on holiday for a change.
Exactly. No, that's coming next week, Derek.
So we may as well go down the tunnel and onto the pitch. So we've got 5 games to cover. Don't worry, we're not going to go into them in great depth because probably nobody cares by this point as well. So, because I certainly don't remember half the shit that went on anyway, even though I've got notes for some of the games. So
there's really only one game that I would like to talk about out of the last 5 games, Derek, but we'll get on.
Well, yes. So the first game was on Sunday the 7th of May. It was a 1-0 win at home against Aberdeen. Now, it was obviously the first game after the split. Off the back of the League Cup semi-final defeat against Celtic, we made 5 changes, notably Robbie McCrorie, Ridvan, Matondo and Sakala all starting. So really pleased for Robbie McCrorie there.
Yeah, a bit time that he got a wee chance, Derek. He's been waiting in the wings a long time, understudy Alan McGregor for so long, and with really nothing to play for, Derek, why not put him in? Yeah,
exactly. Also, the SFA left it up to the clubs to do this or not, and duly we done it as God Save the King. It was played at the start of the game as well, in commemoration of the coronation of the King.
Yes.
Great to see we've still kept up that tradition, and also we've got a portrait of the King in place of the Queen now as well in the dressing room.
That's correct.
So the first half, as usual, we've seen the same half all season long. Lots of possession, slack at the back and in the midfield. Had a few more chances this time up front, but nothing clear cut. McCrorie was the standout in the first half. Matondo, Ridvan and Cantwell all impressed in the first half. Suter had to come on as well for the injured Davis in the first half, and that kind of kept him out for the rest of the season, Dave, didn't it?
Yeah, it certainly did, but also saw the re-emergence of John Suter, which is what we've been looking for as well, Derek. So, bad news for Davies, good news for Suter.
Yes. Second half, it was a bit more of the same. Sakala scores, but it was offside. McCrorie had a fantastic save from a header. Wright came on with around 25 minutes to go and impressed. Cantwell got the goal with a stunning volley, and I think it was about the 64th minute, into the back of the net from a corner from Tavernier as well. A brilliant goal by Cantwell.
It was a match-winning goal, Derek. It really was. As you say, it was going to either take a moment of brilliance or a moment of, a complete fluke to score in this game, because Aberdeen were, as usual, backs to the wall, and it was a piece of absolute genius from Todd Cantwell there. Tremendous goal for him.
Yes, so a difficult game for us. Aberdeen obviously still had the 3rd place to play for at that time as well, but we knew it was going to be a difficult game. Aberdeen always raised their game for us. As we've seen in the next game, they got absolutely horsed against Celtic as well. So glad to get the 3 points, even though it was a meaningless game ultimately.
Yeah.
There was one point though where Aberdeen did have a claim for a penalty and it was just outside the box. It didn't stop Barry Robson moaning about it in the presser after the game, and he asked why VAR didn't look at it. He had to be politely reminded by fan media that VAR doesn't look at free kicks. I mean, I know there's been a lot of controversy with VAR this season and what does VAR look into, what does VAR not, but it clearly states in the rules that it doesn't look at free kicks outside the box. So yeah. I don't know why he was even asking that. Just the bitterness running through him as usual.
Yep, definitely.
So, Dave, the game that you want to talk about more, Saturday the 13th of May, it was a 3-0 horsing of Celtic at Ibrox. 2 changes from the Aberdeen game. Suter in for Davis, we had no other option, but I was kind of wary about that given that he had previous after a bad outing against Celtic as well, which I think did knock his confidence as well. I didn't take many notes for the game because I missed part of it because I had to do an airport run, but from what I gathered and what I seen, it was absolutely outstanding.
Derek, you were talking about Suter there. I have always had my feelings that Suter, it was... I know you're saying you're obviously on about the last game against Celtic with everything that happens. I kind of half put the blame on him and half put the blame on McGregor there.
Just to quickly summarise from what I've got, relentless from the off. We got an early goal in the 5th minute from Cantwell after a brilliant shot from Lundstrom that was saved, spilled, and in great awareness from Cantwell to pick it up and blast it in the net. Suter doubles the lead on the 34th minute with a great backwards header into the net. It was a fantastic save from McCrory after Jack lost possession no long after that there. And then I largely missed the rest of the game. From what I gathered, we kept up the pressure. Sakala made it 3-0 on the 70th minute after getting a through ball. He rounded the keeper and hit a trundler on the left side, which just snuck in. And I've seen it back, and honestly, even though I knew he'd scored it, it still looked as if it was going wide. A lot was made about the game, about the fact that Celtic made changes as the league was won, and it was claimed that it was effectively Celtic's B team. 5 changes all in, I think they made. Now, bear in mind, we made 5 changes in the Aberdeen game. A wee stat for you, though, on that one. Rangers starting 11 in this game had made 199 league appearances this season. Many of them have been actually from the bench as well. Celtic starting 11 had 254 appearances. So who's the B team there, Dave?
Derek, I've actually had a similar conversation with a colleague who's one of them that made that comment, and I was able to shut him up just by saying 2 things to him. That is Matondo and Sakala. That was the 2 things that I said to him, because that was our strike force in that game against Celtic. So he was on about players missing, and I reminded him who was up front for Rangers. But the performance of the day, definitely by Todd Cantwell, closely followed by Raskin, who had an outstanding game, but Cantwell really was relentless right from the first kick-off. It was an absolute joy to watch in that game, Derek.
I mean, from what I've seen and from what I've been told as well from the parts I missed, is that we just never let up. That's now the 2nd or 3rd game in a row where we've actually been the better team against Celtic. We duly got our just desserts in this game. I think we're kind of unlucky in the semi-final as well, but we were the better team, and we had the making of Celtic there. That was the good thing about it. Just a pity Ange decides to shit it when we were actually about to challenge him.
Oh, didn't go down that road. No, it was an excellent performance. Like I said, Cantwell led by example. No, even his goal and his awareness, just his tenacity the whole game, Derek. He was making tackles. He was chasing down the ball constantly. He looked like a man possessed. He was absolutely outstanding, and that's what we are looking for next season, isn't it? Cantwell has been an absolute standout for us, and me and you spoke about it. It's actually quite scary in a very short space of time that Cantwell has become by far our best player in such a short space of time. He can only get better, Derek. Can't wait to see him next season.
And I can't remember, it's been so long ago since we've done a podcast, and I can't remember if I said that, but the reason why he's became quickly a fan favourite, and obviously he's got the skill to back it up, is because he just goes for things. He doesn't shit out of challenges. He dishes a lot out, but he also receives a lot as well, a punishment. So, it's great to see. And just that wee bit of heart and desire and effort. That's all we want in a Rangers team. If you go out there and leave it on the park every single game, that's all we're asking.
Yes, 100%, Derek. Couldn't agree with you more.
One piece of thing I've got to note, Dave, and I'm sorry to say this because the guy, I've never met him unfortunately, but the guy seems a lovely guy and he's a fountain of knowledge, but Tom Miller really needs to give up the commentary. I'm listening to, obviously watch RTV all the time, so I'm viewing the pictures so I can see what he's looking at the time. But obviously they've got the audio-only commentary as well for those who are inside the UK, allegedly. But I had no other option. I was driving at the time, so I stuck that on the phone on the car. And I kid you not, Dave, he's meant to be a play-by-play commentator with the second commentator, the colour commentator, adding the wee snippets in here and there. That's the point of a co-commentator. But he was acting more like the colour commentator, and he was clearly watching the cameras rather than the park, because he was talking about a passage of play where it was, I'll just make up the names, whoever it was Jota to Kyogo to Maeda, Cameron Carlton-Vickers. He started going on about Cameron Carter-Vickers, who was actually in the stand because he was injured. Yeah. It sounded as if Carter-Vickers was passed to. He's a fountain of knowledge, a mainstay of Rangers, been there for a number of years. But for commentary terms, we need a better commentator.
When we had Clive Tilsley, who was, a breath of fresh air for RTV in the big games. I don't know what happened there, Derek, why that broke down, but he was outstanding, fantastic commentator for us on RTV as well. I don't know if that's maybe something that can go back down the route, but you're maybe right. It's maybe time for Tom to hang up the old microphone.
Yeah. Anyway, next game, Sunday the 21st of May. It was a 3-1 win away against Hibs, and another pretty decent performance, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
2 changes from the Celtic game. Interestingly, no Morelos at all. So I think the writing was on the wall at this stage here. Yep. Also, as well, to note, Tavernier's 400th appearance for the club. That's an incredible amount of games, isn't it?
Absolutely incredible, Derek. When you think, we still see Tavernier as being a relatively... No, not a new player, Derek, but it doesn't seem that he's been here that long. But when you think about the amount of seasons he's actually played for Rangers, it's quite incredible, and almost a mainstay in the team ever since he started. I mean, there's not been many games that he has missed.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I said, it was a decent performance overall. Early on, we put pressure on Hibs with a header off the bar in the 2nd minute, and the ball cleared off the line on the 4th minute as well. Tavernier, that main man, puts us ahead on the 32nd minute with a free kick on the left side in line with the penalty spot, placed to the near post. Shocking keeping from David Marshall, mind you.
I'm not kidding.
No, outstanding execution from Tavernier, who I think it was Sakala he said to just beforehand, trust me.
Trust me, yeah.
And what did he do? Brilliant.
He knew exactly what he was going to do. No, a guy that's on top of his game just now, Derek, he really is, and just a pity that he's got nothing to show for it this season, because he has had a fantastic season.
Yep. Hibs had a chance late on in the first half where it was basically an empty net. The player slid in but managed to put it wide, so we're kind of lit off there. Hadji ended up making it 2-0 on the 55th minute, and you could see the emotion in his face. It was the first goal since coming back. He hit a shot, I think it was rebounded, and then he got a second bite of the cherry to put it in the back of the net. A great finish. Just really good to see him getting off the mark there. Hibs hit the post after that, after a great save from McCrory. 86th minute, Cantwell makes it 3-0. Another Marshall blunder. That's just after him making a really good save from a Lundstrom shot just beforehand to put it out for the corner. And unfortunately, 93rd minute, Hibs pull a goal back after a corner on the right and a free header. We had just made a few changes, bringing a couple of the youngsters in. They were involved, unfortunately. Maybe a learning curve for them. Robbie McCrory was absolutely raging at this as well, because I think this was going to be something like 5th game with a clean sheet. So he was really disappointed to lose that. Yeah. So good to see that from him there. Very much like McGregor-esque, that raging about losing a goal. Always good to see.
Yes, no, it was, yeah, totally. And as I say, really unlucky just with the timing, because I was desperate for him to have another clean sheet, Derek, but wasn't to be.
No. So it was a good away win anyway. Leads into the next game, another game against Hearts. It was the last home game of the season. That was on Wednesday the 24th of May, and we drew 2 each. Now, the day beforehand, we confirmed that Arfield Kellander, Kent, McGregor, Morelos would all leave at the end of the season because of their contract expiry. We also confirmed that discussions are ongoing with Davis to stay and to see him through his rehab from his ACL injury. So that's a great touch from the club, that just to extend his contract a wee bit, just to make sure he gets all sorted again. In the meantime, Arfield is, I think, going to an MLS team. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And rather strangely, Kent is going to Fenerbahce.
Yeah, he's obviously been offered a substantial amount to go there. Derek, it's not where I thought he was going to end up. I thought he might have went down to England somewhere, but no, he's decided to head to Turkey.
Oh well.
I actually attended this game, Derek, the Hearts game. Had the chance to go, managed to get tickets and go. Thought it would be quite a good game to go and see certain players that wouldn't be playing at Ibrox again for us, and you're about to get into the game. I'll give you my wee very brief rundown at the end of everything that happened.
Well, Dave, I could have waved to you as well, because part of the reason why we've been off air for so long is my daughter was in hospital for an operation, and I was coming back for the hospital that same time the game was kicking off as well. So I could have waved to you, Dave, but I had to drive by you instead.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Always the same, eh?
Yes. So, because it was the last home game of the season, McGregor and Morelos did get a start, and there was a parade at the end of the game for outgoing players as well. So, a good touch that from the club. It was ultimately a meaningless game. Good to see that the fans showing their appreciation as well. Yeah. The game itself, I'd never seen myself. I've not watched it back. However, I was again, unfortunately, listening to part of it on the drive there and back again on the dodgy Tom Miller commentary. Shanklin got a goal in the first minute after a lengthy VAR check. We pulled a goal back with Cantwell just before half-time. Sakala made it 2-1 just after half-time. And to top off the just before and just after kick-offs, Hearts drew level to make it 2-2 into injury time, near just before full time, and I believe it was this defensive blunders as well that led to the goals. Yeah, it was nearly all defensive blunders for all the goals that were scored, Derek. Like you said, I was there, managed to see the players at the end. They all got their walk round Ibrox at the end of the game. The vast majority of supporters stayed to say goodbye, and the likes of Morelos and Arfield and stuff like that, just to see them all in their Rangers kits for the last time. It was a nice touch, exactly like what you said, what the club did for them. I'll allow them to do that. Yeah, just disappointing the way it's ended with Kent and McGregor, because they never, obviously Kent, I think, was picked up a knock, and they never featured in the last game we've got to cover, which was Saturday the 27th of May, a 3-0 win away against St Mirren. McCrory was straight back in there. Dave, I've not watched the game. I don't believe you've watched the game either. No, I couldn't, Derek. I couldn't on that occasion, just because of other commitments that I had. I just had to settle for watching the highlights later on that night when I came in and watched it back on our TV as well. Dave, I never even done that, so it's going to be the briefest of summaries and saying that Sakala scored on the 26th minute, 48th minute, and Cholak made it 3-0 on the 77th minute. Yes. Probably the least amount of work I've ever put into a game, Dave. Exactly. There you go. From what I saw, Derek, it was another sort of dominating performance by us, and it was great for the likes of Sakala, who seemed to have been coming on to a game, but at the wrong end of the season, unfortunately for him. But another good victory, especially away from home, Derek. Yeah, just on Sakala there, I mean, people talk about Tavernier stats. I think you've got to look at Sakala stats, and they're actually incredible this season, considering most of these appearances have been off the bench. Same with Cholak as well. Give him the serve. A lot of people writing our players off far too easily. You've got to appreciate with some of our players, which we'll get into when I cover the transfers shortly, you've got to appreciate that some of these players have got the talent. In fact, all of them have got the talent. They wouldn't be with us. Some of them were even, or a majority of them were actually playing in Europe for us. They don't just lose that talent overnight. The likes of Sakala, the likes of Cholak, they've got something. They've just been players in a bad team, and the whole team has been poor the last 18 months, and that's what you've got to take out of it there. Players just don't lose their skill overnight. There was a mentality thing with the players the last couple of years, so we'll just need to wait and see. However, in the table, played 30, won 29, drawn 5, lost 4, scored 93, conceded 37, goal difference plus 56, finished on 92 points, which I think somebody done the stats in something like 6 or 7 of the last 10, 15 years. That would have been enough to win us the league. So just a freak win.
Yeah, I know.
Obviously finished second, 7 behind Celtic in the end. They had a 24 goal difference better than us. Now, they scored 114 goals to our 93. They conceded 34. We conceded 37. So clearly it was the amount that they scored was winning them games, and we kind of lost a few games because we got last minute goals against us. We just never switched on, and it was always defensive blunders. I can only off the top of my head think of maybe about three or 4 goals that were actually genuine brilliant goals from the other team. It was generally all defensive blunders from us.
Yeah, I know. That's been the frustrating thing, Derek. It has definitely been in our defence that's caused us all the problems. You know, we've said a long time about certain players, Alan McGregor as well. You know, Derek, it's been quite a few players that have not been on the top of their game. But I just have a feeling, I keep saying it, when we signed John Souttar, Derek, I thought this guy will get into the team and that'll be him. He'll not be back out of it. And unfortunately, his injury struck early on in his Rangers career. But I think just the last sort of 5 or 6 games, sort of 4 games that he played, Derek, I think we'll see a much stronger defence for next season, especially if Souttar can remain fit.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem, though. There's several players in our team that you have to use the caveat if they can stay fit.
Yeah, I know.
We can't keep signing players that are like that have got a history of injuries. It's the same with Ryan Jack, same with him. It was the same with Helander, same with Roof. I mean, the list goes on and on. But again, that's just something we'll need to deal with.
I think actually, if you go back and look at appearances, I think you'll be quite surprised with the amount of games that Ryan Jack actually played for us last season, Derek. I think it's maybe, he was injured a few times, but he wasn't as prolific in injury as he has been, and he actually played a hell of a lot of games for us. So here's hoping that's him now on the turn to start being fit all the time, if you know what I mean. So we can only keep our fingers crossed for that one.
Yeah. So just the games to come, the games we've already arranged, which is Tuesday the 18th of July. It's Alan McGregor's testimonial at Ibrox against Newcastle. Now, Newcastle are getting 8,000 fans there, and I believe they've sold out their allocation already, if I've got that right. So that'll be a fantastic game there. Yeah. Saturday the 22nd of July, the one that we've been wanting for ages, at Ibrox against Hamburg. Something, as I said, the fans have been calling for ages due to our long-term ties with Hamburg. So will be a fantastic thing there. I think Rangers have organised some sort of event at Edmonton House for the night before as well for fans of both sets of clubs to come and buy tickets and meet and have a good party beforehand.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, that'll be excellent.
Yep. And then we're doing a wee trip to Germany as well, not to play Hamburg again though, but it's on Saturday the 29th of July and it's away to Hoffenheim.
Excellent.
Yeah, so all be good there. I don't think Hoffenheim will realise what's hit it when you get a travelling, even though it was just a friendly,
Exactly, yeah.
Just to round out the misery of the season, I just want to kind of go into the last wee bits here for the actual terms of play. Rangers under-18s were beaten at 6-5 by Celtic in the under-18s Youth Cup final. Rangers B team lost against Celtic 4-3 on penalties in the City of Glasgow Cup final. Rangers women's team got beat 2-0 in the Scottish Cup final against Celtic.
Seems to be a wee pattern here.
Yes. And to round it all off, it was a 3-way fight for the Women's League going into the last game of the season. Rangers at Ibrox against Glasgow City, Celtic at Parkhead against Hearts. Now, if Glasgow City won against us, they would win the league. If Rangers win with a better result than Celtic, then we would win the league. If Celtic win with a better result than us, and Glasgow City don't win, then Celtic would win. So I think Celtic were winning 2-0 going into the last few minutes. We were getting beat 1-0. So as it stood, Glasgow City were going to win. Then within the last 9 minutes, we equalised to go 1 each. Celtic get notification of this. Their stadium erupts. The taxi with the trophy of it was on its way to Parkhead. And then, I don't know if it was a VAR call or there was deliberation or anything, but a couple of minutes later, our goal was ruled offside. The taxi changed direction.
So how are they going to play that one, Derek? You know, Masonic refs, but it was actually chopped off a Rangers goal. Do you know what I mean? How could they possibly have played that one?
Well, they did say, oh, it was a conspiracy. So if it was that much a conspiracy to stop Celtic winning, you know, why would we have tried their hardest to equalise as well? Just
exactly, yeah.
I mean, it serves them right. I mean, they were in complete tears. They were absolutely heartbroken. Serves them right, because in their 1-0 league win against us a few weeks beforehand, they got a goal rightly chopped off for a foul in the build-up to the goal. One of their players in a post-match interview, now bearing in mind they had just won the game anyway, she claimed, sometimes you have to play against refs and the opposition in this league. I mean, even their fucking women's team are riddled with paranoia. That's how deep this goes with that club.
It certainly does. There's no other club in the world that could be like that. Quite incredible.
I mean, I remember their youth team, like their under-18s and their B teams were even at it this year as well. It's just fucking incredible. It really is. But yes, that was a bit of hilarity in that there, but really a fucking shambolic season all round, from the under-18s to the B team to the women's team to us. It's just, considering, you know, the women's team won it last year, the B team won it last year, I think the under-18s were going good as well. Obviously, we never won the league, but we won the Scottish Cup and we got into the Europa League final. A shambolic season all round.
Very few highlights, Derek, let's be honest. Getting into the Champions League, absolutely massive for us. Playing in the Champions League, an absolute shambles for us. But getting into the Champions League, maybe the reason that Michael Beale will have, you know, a transfer budget to spend this year. So we were struggling at one point. We didn't think we were actually going to get the Champions League. So that was probably the highlight of the season away back then, beating PSV and getting into the group stages. But anything after that, Derek's been a bit of a disaster, hasn't it?
I mean, Dave, I know we've had this discussion before, and it did kind of get raised on social media as well with other podcasts, is, yes, we're Rangers, we want to be playing in the elite competitions, but as we've seen, as Celtic's seen, as they've seen for the past however many years, we get horsed in the Champions League. Even when we think we've got a decent group, which by all intents purposes, before the season kicked off, we thought we were going to have a decent group. Who would have thought Napoli were going to be like they were? But I want to win a European competition in my lifetime, Dave. We've just seen what happened there with West Ham. Yes, it's a lesser competition technically, but the way the restructuring is going to happen, it's going to get better teams in it. It's a shame the way we have to effectively lose the next qualifying games to get into it, but I want to see us win a European competition. There's an avenue there for getting past this next qualifying round, getting beat in the playoffs, we get £5 million compensation, we drop into Europa League group stages. It's not the £17 million we would automatically get, but it's a start and it's a better chance of winning something or getting far and getting that exposure, Dave. I know the Champions League brings a whole lot of other things just by playing it, like you can command more money for sponsorship because you're getting that bigger exposure in the biggest league. Same with players. Oh, you're playing in the biggest European league. We want to play that as well. We'll come here. So it is a bit of swings and roundabouts, but for a purely competition point of view, I want us to win something. And Champions League's never going to happen for us.
The problem with that, Derek, being is if we don't get into the Champions League and Celtic do, regardless how well they do, they're always going to be getting more money brought in than we are. That's the big issue that we've got. Regardless how far you get in the Europa League, the Champions League group stages are still going to be more money than getting, you know, really far in the Europa League. That is always going to be the issue. And I see what you mean. But we still have to be, you know, I still want to see us being champions of our country, Derek, and being the top team in our country. That's what we've got to aim for first and foremost. And if our biggest rivals in the team that's beating us in the league are getting into the Champions League every season and pocketing that 25 or whatever guaranteed million for getting there each time, and we're maybe getting 3 and 4 million for getting into the group stages of the Europa League, it's no good enough. So I do understand what you say, but at the same time, when it comes to our actual club and being successful on the field in Scotland, we need to be getting that Champions League money in every season. So it's a bit of both there, isn't it?
Absolutely. One of these things about playing in a backwater league, isn't it? But that's the actual play rounded up for the season. Dave, there's not much else we can say about that. So we'll now go into the news. So, we've been busy in the transfer market straight away, Dave, haven't we? Even before the season had finished, we're making waves in it. However, you know how I feel about all the rumours that happen as well, Dave. But I'm going to leave my thoughts to one particular tweet that I seen from @AMG1872. He summed it up perfectly. Rangers transfer rumour season used to be class. Now it's just full of dildos that think they know better because they play Football Manager and look at transfer market now and again. Get the season started, man. I can't be arsed with this.
Was that you that wrote
that? No, it wasn't, unfortunately, but it sums my feeling up perfectly. I mean, we're going to get into it with who we've signed as well. Bill, some of the takes, Dave, is just fucking tiresome. We have signed world-class players, genuine world-class players, and they've been shit for us. We've signed absolutely nobodies, and they've been outstanding. You're never going to know how a player plays until he gets into the team, until he starts playing. Every player, no matter how big or small, is a risk. Stats only tell you one side of the story, don't they? And unless you're looking at their leagues constantly, seeing he is actually a fucking dud, then you're never going to understand how he's going to fit into our team and how he's going to play.
So, Derek, how do you think Sam Lammers is going to do?
He's going to be shite.
What I was going to say, Derek, is the usual transfer rumours has been very different this year because we've been so active in the transfer market that there's not really been that much chance for there to be rumours because we're just signing the players rather than them being rumours for weeks and weeks. But no, I completely agree with what you're saying. We don't know how certain players are going to turn out. We can only we can only project what we think that they're going to be just by what they've been doing in the last few seasons. But as you just quite rightly said there, with your statement a minute ago, with the standard of the league that we are playing in, I would like to think that anyone that's played, in one of these leagues that are much higher standard than ours would come to Scotland and do very well. So, but I'll let you get into everybody who has actually signed, Derek, and there's quite a few, which is very promising.
Yeah, just on the last point there, Todd Cantwell is a case in point. He wasn't playing very well with Norwich, and I don't think he was getting much of a game. And look at him, he's a superstar for us pretty much now. But anyway, yes, on pre-contracts we're signed Kieran Dowell from Norwich on a 3-year deal, 25-year-old midfielder. Dujon Sterling from Chelsea on a 4-year deal, 23-year-old defender. I believe he's a right back but can play in the centre, so it'll be interesting to see where he slots in. Is he going to be a centre back or is he going to be genuine competition for Tav? Mm-hmm. Does that mean Tav might go further forward like I've been asking for ages? I don't know. We've also signed Jack Butland from Crystal Palace on a 4-year deal, 30-year-old keeper. He turned down a lucrative money to sit in the stands as the number 3, so a statement of intent for him. On that basis, you would think he was going to be our number 1. Disappointing for Robbie McCrory, however, because you would thought he's certainly earned a chance at least. However, I do think he's likely to step into the number 2 role, and he's young enough to have, even if he's sitting for another 2 or 3 years as number 2, I think he's still in his mid-20s. He's got plenty of years left in him.
Yeah, definitely.
Sam Lammers as well, you just mentioned him there, from Atalanta, reported to be around £3.5 million. He's a striker. As I said, a lot's been made about his stats or the lack of them. Let's just see how he does. One player not coming in, however, is PFA Premiership Young Player of the Year, Malik Tillman. Now, we had apparently agreed a fee of around £5 million odd for him and had first refusal as part of the loan deal. We tried to negotiate, apparently. I don't think he wanted to come in the end. He wanted to try and fight for his place in Bayern. Bayern have kind of done the dirty on us as well, and they've cancelled that first refusal thing. And this is where it gets confusing, because they've cancelled it. They've also given us £1 million compensation as a cancellation fee, and also 10% of any fee Bayern bank from selling him this summer. So obviously Bayern clearly think they can get more for him, but I've never heard anything like this before for a player on loan.
Never heard that at all, Derek. So is it a gesture of goodwill? Was there something Was there some sort of contract written up in these? This was the small print that was put in by Rangers with regards to the loan. I've never heard anything like this before either. Derek, now I think me and you were in agreement that we would have liked to have signed Tillman, considering he was one of the sort of bright sparks of the team last year. It's not to be, but as I say, for getting compensation for a player that's not even ours is quite incredible, and a selling fee as well. Very, very bizarre, but I'll take that any day of the week, Derek.
No, I think we've kind of won out of that. I know the thing about, if we had signed them for £5 million, we might have sold them for £20 million in a few years' time. But I think Ryan Kent is a case in point. Yeah. That doesn't always happen, and now there is this trend of players running down their contracts so that they can command a bigger wage on the other side. So, but anyway, what do you think of the players? I mean, I don't know much about them, to be honest, but they all seem to come with certainly decent reputations.
The only one I can't comment on Dowell or Lammers or Sterling, but the one thing I'll say about Jack Butland, Derek, he's certainly got the pedigree to come in and be an outstanding goalkeeper for us. You know, ex-England international, played in the Premiership, a lot of games there. So absolutely delighted. And, you know, I'm not having a go at Alan McGregor, but we've spoken about it for a long time. But he's certainly, in the last 2 seasons, he looks on paper to be a huge upgrade in the goalkeeping position for us. So really pleased with that one. And I've got a sneaky suspicion there's going to be quite a few more players coming in. Because if you think about it, when it actually comes to transfer money, it's only been money paid out for Lammers so far. So we'll wait and see. Derek, you know me, I love a transfer rumour when it comes to Rangers. Absolutely love it. It keeps me going through the pre-season and stuff like that. But it'll be interesting to see what happens next.
Yeah, absolutely. A weird one here as well, though. One player returning from a season-long loan and the loanee club not exercising their buy clause is Matthias Zukowski. He only made 2 sub-appearances for Lech Poznan, so a bizarre one there. I don't know if we're going to try and offload him, but, you know, he's a right back.
Yeah.
We've been crying out for cover as well, so
exactly,
should we keep him? I don't know. And also we hinted at it as well, Ryan Jack has signed a year's extension, was set to expire in the summer, but as we all kind of expected, he was offered the year's extension. But again, that's one of the ones that comes under if he stays fit. Outgoings now so far. Academy exits, which is a bit disappointing for some of them. Kai Kennedy, Tony Weston, Murray Miller, Kevin Chiabuturu, I think that's his name, Charlie Lindsay, Lewis McKinnon, Kelsey Ewan, Harley Ewan, and Alex Kapke. Really, really disappointed about Kai Kennedy and Tony Weston going, because they were apparently the shining lights, especially Kennedy. I know he went out on loan. It kind of does call into question our academy setup. I mean, I know we're never going to be able to bleed 2 or 3 superstars through every single season, but I would like us to actually see us selling players, even if it was only for a few 100,000, especially with the likes of Kai Kennedy, Tony Weston. They were, you know, from what I've seen a couple of the B team games, they were the standouts. At the same time, this happens the football world over. These supposedly shining bright stars don't come to anything. So it's maybe a case of our perceptions maybe skewed of it because there's more focus and more coverage on the academy than ever before. Yeah,
as you say, for Kennedy, he's been an absolute star playing for Falkirk. I know it's been the first division in Scotland he's been playing in, but he's been absolutely outstanding for them. And, you know, the other name you mentioned there, Weston, I mean, he was a player that was tipped to, you know, come in and go into the first team at some point. I know he had a few appearances as a sub, not last season, but the season before. But, you know, really unfortunate for those 2 players. And you've just got to hope that all these young guys can go on and find clubs and have, you know, really good careers. But unfortunately, it's not to be at Rangers.
No. One thing, though, that we did get a fee for is Kane Richie Hostler has signed for Dunfermline. He was on a season-long loan with them, an undisclosed fee, so at least we're going to get something, but God knows how much that is there. However, we will get a wee Brucey bonus, though, because Ross McCrory has signed for Bristol City from Aberdeen. It's reported that we're going to get around £200,000 for the sell-on clause, because I think it was £2 million they got plus add-ons. So good for Ross McCrory. story. Good for us.
Yeah, definitely. You know, a guy that's probably been one of Aberdeen's best players since he left us, and you know, a player that we did, you know, rate Derek. I mean, I was surprised that he did go at the time, but good to see him going down and, you know, having a shot at playing in the Championship in England. Hopefully, he does well.
Absolutely. We've also said that we are willing to listen to offers for Kamara. However, we're looking for around about £5 million for him. I mean, I think we'll be lucky to get anywhere near that, given that his form has plummeted in the last 18 months. One thing, though, that's been overlooked in his form, though, is that if I'm right in the timing, I think ever since the Cadell incident, his form has completely dipped. Well, so has that maybe had a wee bit more effect on him than we're actually given credit for?
Possibly, Derek. The one thing I did notice, he scored for Finland the other night on international duty. So, I mean, that's always good coverage for a player. You know, if we are trying to sell him, a guy that's, you know, an ever-present internationally for his country and scoring as well. So, I will wait and see what develops there.
Yep. So, going on to the more mainstream news now, Dave, there'll be a lot more transfer talk. The window's open till, is it the end of August, I think?
Yeah. Yep,
yeah, right. So plenty time to go for both ingoings and outgoings. So certainly a lot more players linked with us as well. I think, you know me, Dave, until they're waving that scarf and they're wearing the top at Ibrox or the training facility, I don't believe anything.
Well, I do think that one did. That was the one that was that was getting a lot of talk. Was the guy Dressers, who is playing in Italy? He's a Nigerian striker. Don't know anything about him, Derek, I'll be honest with you. But as I say, Derek, when we look at the two players that Michael Beale has brought in already, in Raskin and Cantwell, and see that they two have, you know, vastly improved the team and went to be, you know, two our best players, we've got to put our trust in him, that he knows the type of players that he's looking for. And here's hoping he gets a few more. And, you know, the vast majority of them are all hits.
Yeah, it's just a case of we'll need to get rid of a good few players as well, though. Still, I know that it was obviously the 5 that went out, but we still need to kind of cut the squad down because it was far too bloated as well. One thing of note, though, is it's really interesting that it seems to be that Beale has been the one that is going out and speaking to the players, which is a change as well. That's going back to the Walter Smith days of managers taking charge of it. Obviously, we've not got a director of football now, so it was a good touch from Beale. I think it was Lammers that said, I think, that Beale came out and visited them as well. So interesting.
Definitely, yes. No, it's good that he's doing that. I don't know if I've heard a few quotes that he wants to look players in the eye to see if they're genuinely interested or not. So if that's the way doing things for him, then, as I say, he's been successful so far with the two guys that he's brought in. So here's hoping that that's exactly what he's done with the rest of them.
Yes. So moving on now. Our greatest ever player and current MBE, John Greig, has been awarded the CBE in the King's first birthday honours list. So, you know, good to see the King keeping it in the family.
No, absolutely tremendous news for John Greig there, getting the recognition that we all think that he deserves. It's a fantastic occasion for him and for the club as well. So, not tremendous stuff.
Yep. Season tickets for the forthcoming season have sold out for the 8th year in a row. Haven't said official numbers, but I think it's between 45 and 48,000. So incredible again. We've got something like 14,000 on the waiting list as well, which is mental.
Yes, it will be. It's incredible. It's getting back to, you know, the times where I was younger, Derek, and you would have, you know, years waiting before you could get a season ticket. So it's great for the club to know that, you know, even if they're going to have to put prices up and stuff like that they've got so many people waiting to get tickets as well. So no, it's very encouraging.
My first daughter has got a lot to answer for because I gave up my season ticket because of her. So, yeah.
Derek, I done exactly the same when my daughter came along as well. So there you go, exactly the same circumstances.
So it wasn't until your daughter came along yet you had your son first, You never gave it up then, Dave?
No, I didn't, no.
Next thing here is the new home top was released. It was unfortunately leaked a day before it went on sale, but as always, it certainly wasn't leaked by Sports Direct anyway, which was a change from it anyway. I quite like the top. Not at £70 though. I know it's allegedly the going rate for tops, but it's absolutely ridiculous cost now. The boxed sponsorship on the sleeve is smaller and better too. I think that was on the back of what fans wanted. And it was on the back of us renewing our sponsorship with them for the up-and-coming season as well. We've also swapped the training top and playing top sponsors around from 32 Red to Unibet. It's all to do with the Kindred Group who own them both, and their 0% mission to bring 0% of its revenue from harmful gambling. So they're the only betting company that do that apparently. So that's really good to see. And next thing, Malky Thompson has left his post as women's head coach. He'll return to his position within the club's academy. He actually asked to do the women's role in the first place, but he's obviously overseen the whole transformation of the women's team and making them part of the professional outfit within Rangers.
Yeah, yep. No, it's I don't know what that's going to mean for him. You know, if it's anything to do with sort of overall club, as in the full club or not. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with that one.
Yep. Next thing, a couple of director changes here. Long-term finance and football admin director Andrew Dixon has left, as has the finance director Kenny Barclay. Now, I think Andrew Dixon had been there for 20 years or something like that. Apparently, we're also now looking for a new chief financial officer to take up the finance role. So it sounds to me, I'm reading between the lines here, it looks as if both the kind of directors' roles are going to be amalgamated following their departures. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
More people leaving, Derek. There's been a hell of a lot of movement in the back room, hasn't there, over the past few months? Still a lot of murmurings about potential takeovers and things like that, which again is you know, you hear these things a lot, but there just seems to be a hell of a lot of movement there and people leaving behind the scenes. So again, it's just one to keep an eye on there.
Yep. So Dave, we'll do another podcast and another story of legal wranglings going on. Rangers have been back in court as we're being sued for £338,000. It relates to the use of kiosk payment systems and sponsorship deals. So it's a convoluted story involving one company using its sister company's inferior equipment, not doing the maintenance of the equipment properly, and the non-fulfilment of sponsorship deals and payments. So God knows what it's all about. Decision will be made apparently in August. They've done all the hearings for it, so we're just waiting on a judge's decision on that one there. But it doesn't seem we're able to get away from any sort of court action against us these days.
I was about to say, Derek, every time we bring out a podcast, there's a new court case on the horizon. So this is just another one to go. I'm starting to lose track. Again, we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that one.
It's like a fucking episode of Judge Rinder, so it is. More court information here, not directly related to Rangers. However, the Chancellor, Craig White, and his legal team have dropped the £500,000 lawsuit against the Crown Office for malicious prosecution. So, interesting the fact that obviously the Duff and Phelps folk and Charles Green and Imran Ahmed have all been successful, yet Craig White has dropped his case.
Yes.
Wonder why.
Exactly.
Next thing here, the first of James Bisgrove's quarterly fans forum meetings was held. So it was open to season ticket holders, MyJers members and supporters clubs. Two-way communication with questions submitted beforehand. Around 400 people attended. A report will be published online by the club later on. We've also published our engagement strategy as well. So ultimately the proof will be in the pudding. I hope if the club do go against some fans' wishes and some things, it doesn't have the usual fans spouting off about the club don't listen, etc, etc. But from the brief things I've read about what's came from it, is it seems to have been a success. A lot of different things mentioned about the Levy Group, and we retain 74% of the profits made from it. There's going to be certain sections they're trialling out, pre-order your food for half time, and there'll be certain collection points. Full fat cola is coming back. I never knew it was a way, to be honest. Various things, obviously, about the disabled section. it'll get published in due course. There'll be more details out. One of the things as well is they were talking about expanding the stadium, and they've done some costing about that. So there's plans to either drop the pitch, which is going to cost something like £20 million. You could fill in partial corners more. To do that, you could take away the screens and fill the full corners. So there's various options there, which is good. Already the same fucking moans online about, personally, I'd rather have investing the money in the players right now rather than stadium expansion. Well, here's the thing, and it's the same with Edmundston House, and we've had the same argument time and time again. The playing staff will always, every single season, need investment. You will never get away from that. So when will be the best time to do these things which will generate revenue for the club? People moan the fact that you can't get tickets. We've got 14,000 fans on a waiting ticket list for season tickets. There's another, 7,000 tickets, season tickets you could sell. There's more money for players.
Probably more than that, Derek, if they were able to do all of the expansions that they've been talking about as well. It would be nearly an extra 10,000 seats if that was what they were going for, which, is absolutely massive in revenue. Absolutely massive. And, as you say, there's, a huge chunk of money coming in every single season if we manage to do that. So, no, I'm all for it. Anybody that complains about that is very, very short-sighted.
And they've got to understand as well that we're already on a financial fair play watch list. We cannot just go spend money after money after money. See, the big teams like Chelsea, Man City, they can all get away with it. But, Real Madrid, Barcelona, they get away with it because they hold the power chips in Europe. In financial terms, we're a very, very small fish in that respect. So we can't try and get away with things like that. What the people have got to understand is, yes, you could spunk £25 million on 5 or 6 players, but then if we don't have the income to back that up, we're going to be fucked for financial fair play. And believe me, they will fuck us over, unlike Chelsea. But see, if you spend that £25 million on infrastructure, it doesn't come off financial fair play because it's part of infrastructure. So it's not going to make any difference to the actual spending of the players there. So it's a very short-sighted term that, yes, we're Rangers, we want to win everything, we've got to win every game. I'm fed up fucking saying the same thing time and time again. But it's a short-sighted to not see that if you can generate revenue in the long term, it's going to have a longer-term benefit for the club.
100%, Derek. And we've been crying out for this for years to get those corners filled in at least, to give us an extra 2,000-3,000 fans in there. But if we're able to go and get the pitch lowered as well, to put an extra rosy seats in there as well, I mean, that's absolutely incredible. So, no, I'm all for it. I really hope that we manage to do it. I'd love to see Ibrox that size. I think it would be incredible, and, bring it on. Yep,
absolutely. Bisgrove also previously was doing the whole media tour in the last few weeks as well. He announced that they were looking into the feasibility of safe standing and talks will be had. He confirmed that talks will be had with Celtic over allocation for our games. It won't change next season due to season ticket, and it won't be going back to the 8,000. He again confirmed that tonight. Quite honestly, see this whole clamour for the 8,000 for Celtic and all that kind of shit. I don't care about this spectacle about Old Firm games and how it looks outside of Scotland. The SFA undervalue and undermarket us, as does Sky due to the SFA. Celtic refuse to use our name or talk about the Old Firm, and honestly, I want nothing to do with that shameful and disgusting club. I'm fed up talking about it. It's the same moans time and time again, Dave.
It's just another rod for all of the haters to hit us with, Derek. Let's be perfectly honest with you. It's the same people all the time that are putting their digs in, and it's just to have another go at Rangers. Basically, all it is, it's a great excuse for them to say it. I was actually quite disappointed in the likes of Ali McCoyston that also said as well that he was disappointed that nothing had been worked out. I realised that Ali's, the position that he's in and talk sport, that he's got to try and be a wee bit unbiased, but it's I was quite disappointed in that. I'm the same as you, Derek. I think that they should be grateful of what we give them. We should be looking after our own fans first, people that are desperate to go in and watch the games, and if they want to be do exactly the same as what we do, then fair enough, they can do whatever they want, but look after our own fans first, Derek, before anything else.
See if we end up, do expanding the stadium by nearly 10,000. Yeah, I would say maybe look into certainly not the 8,000, but maybe do the European allocation. But I'm quite happy with it being 800 fans,
Yeah.
But again, I'm maybe coming from a different point of view where I'm not attending the games. People who attend the games want the atmosphere. So
Yeah. Well,
I can see it from both sides of view that there. But I would much rather have our fans filling the stadium, season ticket money coming in because they can now sell that stand. There you go.
Yep.
Anyway, another significant thing about the stadium expansion, with the scheduling for the disabled facilities and access has been agreed. So this summer and the next 2 summers, work's going to be taking place. This summer, structural works in the Broomlint and Copeland stands. So it's basically extending concourses and more accessible kiosk points and changes to make the accessible lift platforms. Next summer, season ticket holders will be affected, so they will be consulted in due course. It'll be the creation of platforms, construction of cantilevers, and then in 2 summers' time it's going to be the Sandy Jardine stand, again with season ticket holders being affected and consulted. It'll be again the construction of platforms. I mean, seats will be lost initially, but by the time that it's all completed, I think there'll be something like a couple of thousand more seats within Ibrox as well, plus as well the much needed better disabled access and seats for those people in wheelchairs as well.
No, brilliant news. I'm glad that that's now finally going ahead, Derek. Disabled supporters have been needing better facilities for a long time now to be in line with a lot of other stadiums around Europe. So that's fantastic news for them. And, another great piece of business by the club and great work for them to get that done.
Yep. On the note about seats as well, as I'm sure I read a tweet somewhere that the company that restores plastic seating have said that they've began to work on Ibrox also. They basically take a flamethrower to weather-worn plastic seating to make it look like new. I might be wrong in that one there, but I'm sure I've seen that online somewhere.
All right, okay.
So certainly there was a couple of pictures that I seen from Ibrox when it was like the publicity ones for Bisgrove getting announced, and some of the seats do look pretty shoddy. They're all kind of light blue colour, so it'd be good to get them restored if not replaced. Next thing about more construction issues is we've confirmed that the museum will open on Monday the 31st of July. So those that purchased Edmiston House supporters package will be given the first opportunity to purchase tickets. I mean, they've already paid a shit ton of money for that package, so I thought they'd be getting it in for zero anyway for the first time. But nonetheless, it's good to see it's opening. Rangers have said that some of the stuff from the trophy room will be getting moved into there as well to tell the greater story of the 150 years.
Oh, that's incredible. I'm very impressed with Edmiston House, Derek, for what I saw of it. I was inside the club shop, which was in there. I got a coffee as well, stood out in the balcony, watching all the supporters walking past. So it's quite a spectacular sight. And inside, which unfortunately I didn't have a ticket for, the big massive open bar area inside looks absolutely cracking. So that's something that I'll definitely have to do at some point.
Yep. Next thing here is something that really excites me. Being a big foodie, Rangers have partnered up with none other than Gordon Ramsay. A new hospitality lounge with menu by Gordon Ramsay is opening up, as well as some of his signature dishes going onto the menu at the Blue Sky Lounge. Now, Dave, this is an absolute mega deal. He's arguably the best chef in the world. Yep. Certainly a worldwide name, and the exposure that this will bring us should be immeasurable. I mean, just someone Googling him from America, they'll end up, it'll be part of his website as well, and they'll see, oh, he has a restaurant in Glasgow, Ibrox. That was better of an American accent there. I'm an American citizen. Now watch this golf shot.
Derek, has anybody ever told you that your impressions are absolutely dreadful?
Many times, Dave, but that will not stop me.
No, getting back to that, Derek. It's a fantastic tie-in. He's always sort of said that there's always been a lot of things said about him and his connection to Rangers and stuff like that. But finally, there is an actual genuine connection, not just to do with him being a an ex-player or, a trialist or whatever it is. I know that's still in debate that he actually played for Rangers or not. So, no, absolutely fantastic. As you say, by far the most famous chef in the world, a TV celebrity all over the world as well. So, tremendous. And if it's going to bring in some mega business for the club, then I'm all for it. Superb.
Yes, I've been very fortunate to go to 2 of his restaurants, so certainly if that's any of the standard to look at, then it's going to be brilliant there.
Yeah.
Next thing here is we have announced that we will not be entering the B team into the Lowland League for the coming season and beyond. This comes after the SFA's decision to withdraw a vote on the proposed introduction of a Conference League into the 5th tier of the pyramid. We've stated that we're an advocate for having B teams in the professional league, and we've went on to say that as matters now stand, there is no suitable governing body-led structure for players between the ages of 18 to 21 in Scotland. Now, here's the thing. It's unclear if the B teams would lead to better development for more young players coming through and through the ranks in Scotland, but we have to try something. Yes. As usual, the SFA sit in their ivory tower and do SFA. Do they think because the national team are having a bit of relative success just now that everything's fine? It's a farce as usual. We're trying to move the game forward, but as ever, because a lot of these proposals are coming from us, it's kiboshed before things even get off the ground. It really is a dereliction of duty from the SFA. Rangers bring out a stat where it was in the last World Cup, the top 10 teams, or the top 10 nations, all had B teams in their main professional leagues.
Yeah.
So it must have some benefits. If anything, it was bringing these lowland leagues a lot of money.
Derek, that was the point that I was just about to make there. I know my local team, East Stirlingshire, who play at the Falkirk Stadium. I've been a few times this season to watch them play in the Lowland League, and you're lucky if there's maybe about 200 fans in the stadium. But when Rangers are playing there, you're talking, a couple of thousand supporters that are there. That's a massive amount of supporters for the likes of East Stirlingshire. It'll be exactly the same for all the other clubs in the Lowland League as well. So another missed opportunity there. It's for the lower leagues of Scottish football. That's absolutely huge. But what happens now, though, Derek? That's the thing, because there's got to be something for these guys that are in that age bracket that maybe not good enough yet to play for the main team, but are good enough to be playing at that level. What does it mean? Do we just have to loan out every single one of these young players now for them to get game time? It's just an absolute farce, a complete farce, as you say. Trust the SFA to make a balls up of something like that was actually, for the good of Scottish football, and they've completely fucked it up.
I understand individual teams not being happy about it because they might get kicked out the Lowland League or drop down a tier or whatever. Somebody would probably lose out at some point, but, they were quick enough to do a 12-team Premiership League and the stupid fucking split and all that stuff, and then, do the whole merging of the SFL and the SPL at the time, and it's just nothing is changing with Scottish football, and they're just refusing both any of our suggestions or to do something innovative like summer football, for God's sake. We live in a country that we've generally got bad weather and we get games cancelled all the time because of waterlogged or frozen pitches. You've got a shitty TV deal. You could command better sponsorship and better TV rights if you move to summer football. It's just things. Try outside of the box thinking. They just don't want to do it. So the last kind of Rangers news here I've got here is, and I don't know why we're even covering this considering how shambolic a season it have been, but the Player of the Year awards got held. Now, for the 3rd year in a row, I believe it is, Tavernier won the Sam English Bowl. It's a fucking dereliction of how bad our strikers have been over the last few years. The fact that Tavernier's been the top scorer for 3 years in a row there.
Yep.
Goal of the season, Cholak's winner against PSV. I think that was more to do with the significance of getting us to the Champions League group stages. That was fans voted as well. Player of the Year, Tavernier. The John Gregg Achievement Award, a great touch by for giving it to Jimmy Bell this season. The Academy Player of the Year, that was Aaron Lyle. Also, the B Team Player of the Year, voted by the teammates. Men's Player of the Year by the supporters was Tavernier. Women's Player of the Year by her teammates, Sam Kerr. And the Women's Player of the Year by the supporters, Brogan Hay. So, Player of the Year for a shambolic season, but one of these things you have to do, isn't it?
Exactly, yes.
Yep. So the last piece of news I've got here is that magnificent bastard Graham Souness and his relay team completed their charity swim across the English Channel. They raised over £1 million for charity Deborah, which helps in people suffering from the horrible disease, butterfly skin disease, I think it's colloquially called. So absolutely incredible from Graham Souness. The guy's 70 for God's sake, and he's doing things like that. Absolutely amazing.
Mr. Indestructible, absolutely fantastic, Derek. He was very, you could actually see he was very emotional. Anytime he's talked about his charity there, so delighted for him, and an absolutely massive amount of money that he's raised there, so absolutely fantastic. Great achievement.
Yes. So, hotel guest wakes up to manager sucking on his toes in bed. A hotel guest is planning to sue a hotel chain after he woke up in the night to find a member of staff sucking on his toes. Peter Brennan from Texas was staying overnight in the Hilton downtown Nashville hotel on the 30th of March for a work conference. However, his night's sleep was allegedly interrupted around 5 a.m. when hotel employee David Neal, 52, let himself into Brennan's room. According to Nashville Metropolitan Police, he had cloned a keycard to let himself in, and when Mr. Brennan woke up, found his toes were in Neal's mouth.
Okay.
Mr. Brennan said, I instantly jumped up and was screaming. Went into sort of a fact-finding mode. Who are you? Why are you in my room? What are you doing here? I don't think I would be going into fact-finding mode. It would be fucking Bruce Lee mode I would be going into. Mr. Brennan went on to say, I could see he was wearing a uniform. He had his name tag on. He was talking to me, but not giving me some substantive answers. Neil, who is reportedly the night manager of the hotel, claimed he entered the room because he could smell smoke, but no other guests or staff could report smelling smoke that night. He was arrested in his hometown of Lebanon, Tennessee, and was charged with aggravated burglary and assault.
Assault for sucking somebody's toe. There you go. That old chestnut, he let himself in because he could smell smoke.
His feet must have been burning then.
Exactly. Another bizarre story, Derek. There you go.
Yes. So, on that note, we will end the podcast. So, Dave, it might be a wee while again before we're back.
It will be, Derek, because, surprise, surprise, I'm away on holiday next week.
Oh, whoopie-doo for you.
Oh, some things never change. Your enthusiasm for my holidays, Derek.
Whoopie-doo. Yes, so we will be away for a wee while. Obviously, we've got the friendlies coming up. We've been a bit absent on Twitter lately as well. Do you know something, Dave? There has been several times over the last few weeks I've been on Twitter and I've just seen folk comment and I've been like, holy, and generally I would comment and I'm like, I can't be bothered with this anymore. It's just so tiresome. That's both my own fucking Twitter and our Twitter we've got here as well. But
I do keep a close eye on it, Derek, but I'm still getting fed up here reading tweets about fucking COVID vaccines and stuff like that. It's really doing my head in. I still can't believe that I'm still reading about stuff like that, and a lot of stuff obviously to do with politics, which really isn't my thing. So, for God's sake, get the football back as quickly as possible so I've actually got some decent things to look at on Twitter.
Yeah, so Dave normally kind of monitors Twitter just to make sure I've not put anything stupid on it again. So
you're not lying in the slightest.
But yes, we will comment on Twitter if there's any new signings or anything like that as well. So Dave and I might be trying to organise some sort of live broadcast Twitter when we're doing one of the friendlies as well. But Dave's Dave's away on holiday that often. We might not get a chance to do that, so we'll see. It'll be a bit of fun anyway, and it'll be all broadcast and details will be put out if we manage to get that done. So it'll be just us talking shite as usual. So
yeah, exactly. Just paranormal, Derek.
Yeah. So all that's left to say is enjoy your summer, everyone. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye, folks.
And the stadium erupts in red, white, and blue. You've never seen anything like it.
Let's go.